Let's call the meeting to order tonight. This meeting is being recorded. I would ask if there's anyone else recording this meeting, please let us know. Seeing none, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know we have at least one citizen to comment this evening. Do we have any more than that? Okay. Mr. Stannard, would you like to come up to the podium? Sorry, you probably didn't know it was going to happen that quick.
No, that's quite all right. Thank you very much.
Coming.
My name is Chris Stannard. I'm the communications head of communications of Auburn Youth Football. I'm here just a little bit to talk a little bit about Auburn Youth Football. Here in the town, baseball gets a lot of play. Basketball, football has kind of been quiet recently, and we think football, it's about time we brought it up. So right now we have over 200 people, including coaches, involved in Auburn Youth Football. That's up over 130 players, approximately 40 cheerleaders, and that's up over 100 players last year. We attribute the growth in our league to the switch to AYF, the increased exposure of our league on Facebook, websites, getting the name out there, and the fact that the Patriots actually won the Super Bowl last year, which I know it doesn't seem like it had been a long time since they had, so that brought people into it. When I say we shifted to AYF, there's a lot of concern about kids getting hurt in football. AYF bases it on age and grade rather than weight, which Pop Warner did, which we had been part of for years. So what that means is in Pop Warner, you can have a third grader play against a fifth grader because they both weigh the same. Fifth grader who's older, more intelligent, more coordinated can really hurt a third grader, even though they weigh the same. Whereas if you have a third grader, it's 100 pounds, and a third grader, it's 175 pounds. Sure, he weighs more, he's a little slower, not as coordinated because they're both on the same intelligence level. So it is actually safer. The insurance levels are lower for us because of this change. Right now, about 15 to 20 players we have playing would not have been able to play for us had it been if we'd still been with Pop Warner, and that's why we made the shift. Everybody plays in AYF. So we've been running a camp over the summer where we had kids 2 hours a night for 2 nights a week, free of charge, at Lemansky Park, working on just fundamentals. How do I stand? How do I tackle? How do I hold my back? That was very successful. Great turnout for that. We started our official training camp, 4 days a week training back on August 3rd. And we're doing that this week also because school isn't open yet. So we've got an advantage over everybody else. With all these kids who have been working that hard, we have 4 football teams. We have 4 instructional football teams, 2 flag teams, a kindergarten first grade team we call our Tiny Mites, and a second grade, third grade team we call our Mighty Mites. When I say instructional, no official scores kept, although if you ask the kids, they know the score of every game. The referees are out there playing the same way. They don't do kickoffs, but they all get equal opportunity to play, and we play 2 games on the field at the same time with those. We have 2 competitive league teams, our 4th graders and our 6th graders. That's football on a field the same size as the NFL plays on, same rules the NFL plays with. And referees, it's all the same. And they're getting a great exposure to the teamwork and the structure of a team with that. We also have 2 cheer teams, 8 and under, who cheer for the 2nd and 3rd graders, and 12 and under, who cheer for our older kids. So the real big reason we wanted to tell you about AYF is our home opener is Labor Day weekend. The league we're in now, Central Mass Youth Football and Cheer, they like to have openers go on Labor Day. So Saturday, starting at 8 o'clock at the Auburn High School, thank you for the use of the field. We'll be starting with our flag games. 9:30, 2nd graders, 3rd graders, kindergarten, 1st graders will play. Again, 2 games on the field. 11:15, the 4th graders are playing, and at 1 o'clock, 6th graders are playing. So I've been told by Mr. Bardabedian, who's going to speak later, he is having a townwide pep rally at his house on Friday night to celebrate the opening of football. We really want to make it an event in Auburn. The football games will shift to night games after Labor Day. We didn't think anybody would want to come to a night game on Labor Day. But we play music, we mic up the referees. It's like going to Gillette. And we hope to see you out there. There's no admission, great snack foods. So we hope everybody can make it out, and we hope everybody can make it to Mr. Vargadian's for the pep rally. So, again, thank you for the use of your facilities. We appreciate the support we get.
Great presentation,
That's great.
Mr. Stannard. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Mr. Stannard?
Very good question. Is this all volunteer work on your part and
Yes.
Mr. Hammond too, right? He's
President's Mike Hammond, Vice President is Greg Belanger, Sarah Vardavidian is in charge of cheer, who am I forgetting, Treasurer, Mr. Vardavidian, and communications, and yes, nobody's paying us to do it. It's the love of the game and love of the kids.
That's
So,
great, thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, thanks for the update, and now I know a little bit more about it, and thanks for volunteering, the whole crew, for our kids.
it's fun.
Yeah, stop in here anytime, keep us updated, and if there's anything that you need from us, as far as facilities, don't
I actually think I
hesitate
might be back next week.
Oh, okay.
To talk to you about that.
We got no meeting next week.
Thank you very much.
But thank you, that was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we now move on to special recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight, as you may realize or remember, this is actually our teachers' third day in session. They had a day on Monday. We had training throughout the day yesterday, and they've been in their classrooms and in their schools doing training today. We also, and they'll be in tomorrow as well. We also, last Tuesday, had a new teacher orientation. So there are more new teachers, as you saw from the last new hire sheet. But some may still be working in their classes, but I would like to take the opportunity to recognize those who have joined. We have a tremendous group of individuals who have joined our team this year. We're proud of the Auburn Public Schools, and we're very excited to have them as part of it. So when I call your name, if you can just stand and remain standing, just to be recognized. So first we have Erica Lundy, who's from Swanson Road Intermediate School, teaching grade 5. We have Caitlin Brunel, teaching grade 4 at Swanson Road. Megan Berg is a new school counselor at Swanson Road Intermediate School. Kara Mullaney Deans is a reading specialist at Packagug School. Michael Lavelle, you've met before, our assistant principal, our tour guide just a short time ago, administrator, assistant principal at Swanson. And Rachel Lowe from Auburn Middle School, a team chairperson. So we welcome them. These are certainly our bright and really contributing members of our team. We look forward to all that is to come.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Would anyone care to come up and say a little bit more about themselves, or are we satisfied with the introduction? That's good enough? All right, well, do we have any comments from the board?
Well, I just heard someone came to us by way of Alaska.
Wow.
That you? How long were you in Alaska?
I was in Alaska for 4 years. I grew up in Dudley, and then I moved to Alaska, and I taught in Alaska for the last 4 years.
What part?
And in Tok, it's the interior. It's a really small, tiny town.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, welcome. We hope we don't have any winters like you're used to.
you guys had a worse winter here than we did.
Any other comments?
Welcome.
Welcome and good luck.
Yes.
You got a good team that you're working with, too.
It'll be
And the
great.
students are great.
Thank you for coming out
Yes.
and meeting us tonight. It's much appreciated. And if Dr. Brunel says that you're a bright group and you're going to do a great job, then we'll have to take her word for it. And it was great meeting you. Thank you. And they can,
They can. If
Take off if
you
you'd
let
like.
them go,
Yeah.
they can.
don't feel like you need to stick around. Nothing exciting happening here.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You watch the meeting online.
Now, I would seek approval.
I actually forgot the other special recognition. I apologize if
Oh,
I go
that's
back
okay.
to that.
Go ahead.
The other special recognition, Bethany Dutton, who is a library media specialist at Auburn High School, was recently recognized in a spotlight feature in the Mass School Library Association newsletter. And that was really because of the monthly hobby workshops that are offered by teachers. really in high-interest activities for students. Some of the ones included beekeeping, cake decorating, Japanese embroidery, crocheting, tapping, stress relief and fantasy football, and even a mini concert and things. So just a recognition of what she helped to coordinate, but also involved a lot of teachers at the high school, and to really have our students express their interest in some unique experiences that they may not otherwise have. So I thought it was a great recognition for her on the state level, but also for us, and to thank her for what she's done.
Excellent. Any comments?
Well, this is wonderful. Now, is this ongoing all year, or?
They actually started, to my knowledge, last year, and I think it ran at different times during the year. It was an after-school event. There was no pay, for the teachers
Wow.
to do it. It was really just an interest-based thing that kids expressed some interest in, and they coordinated it. And you can see there's a photo here of some of the students. I can see Mrs. Dunton in there, and a couple of the other students. It looks like some sort of an art craft that they may have done there. So just a nice opportunity.
Yes, wonderful.
And another situation where our faculty steps up and goes the extra mile for our students.
Exactly.
And it's much appreciated. Make sure you pass along that appreciation.
Will do.
Now I would seek approval of the minutes for July 8th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of July.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. There's a vote. And we do not have any student representatives this evening.
They'll come with school starting. They should be here next week.
Next week?
Yes.
Okay. And how many sports are these two playing? Because
You know, I
we may
don't
only
know.
see them once.
I will
once a-
tell you, they are both very involved. We have a senior coming, Yaya, and a junior, Jacob, who will be starting. So I'm going to meet with them on Tuesday, just to give them kind of the lay of the land and the expectations. But I think they'll do a great job.
Well, it's fantastic that typically our student representatives are involved in extracurriculars, whether it's the arts, music, the plays, the sports. But the only problem is we only see one of them at a time typically, and to get two of them
Right.
together is
Yeah.
it's difficult.
It
But that's
is.
great. These are obviously some of the skill sets that are going to help them to get into college.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Any comments? Okay. Moving along to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I've kept you apprised over the past year, the elementary PTO, as you know, with the joining of the Swanson Road and the change of Bryn Mawr into Packagug, after numerous meetings, the decision was made to join into one elementary PTO. Jesse was part of those ongoing discussions, and it really was an awful lot of us sitting together, the elementary principals, including the chairs and board members from both District 1 and District 2. So tonight we have Mr. Rafi Vadabedian here. He is one of the co-presidents, along with Christina Nashhold, who he's going to give an update. And I met with them earlier this summer, and as you had mentioned, some of you, to Mr. Stannard, I think it is just a tremendous kudos to the individuals who give of their time, whether it's through PTO, and many of you have done those things, whether it's through coaching our students, volunteering in the schools. We're very fortunate to have the support of adults that help support our kids beyond their school day. So it's a great partnership. So with your permission, I'll turn it over to Mr. Vardabedian to provide an update.
Please. This is what we've been waiting for.
Is this right? This is the whole reason for the meeting. Thank you. Farrington, Mrs. Kaufman, Mrs. Holloway, Mr. Page, Dr. Brunel, Mr. Chairperson, thank you very much for having me. My name is Rafi Vardabedian, and I am here tonight on behalf of the Auburn Mass PTO. I'm actually a co-chair of the PTO. And I have to say before I start, I do watch some of these meetings. You know, you have them recorded, and one of my favorite parts is the respect shown, the Mr. Chairperson. I do love that. We might have to try to incorporate that into the PTO meeting somehow. That's a very nice part of it. So I'm here, as Dr. Brunel said, to talk about the PTO. We've merged into one PTO representing the youth, the children in preschool through 5th grade, so Swanson Road Intermediate School, Bryn Mawr Elementary, Packagug Elementary, and then the Auburn Integrated Preschool in town. So we had one meeting over the summer just to get everybody together. Things are going well so far, and we're just excited for the year ahead. So one of the other reasons I'm here, we have a series of events planned for the first week back at school. So I think there was a flyer in your packets. And I want to thank, there's a number of channels in town that have been supportive to get that flyer out in front of a lot of eyes. Auburn Mass Daily, the fire station's putting it up on their board, Town Hall, the library, I think be out on some one calls, maybe before school starts. So, really, when we looked at the calendar this year, school starting after Labor Day, it's made for a great summer, but we know once Tuesday hits, it's going to get hectic. So we got a series of events planned for that first week to try to ease families back into it as they're running from school and dance and practice fields. The first 4 events on there are some of the area restaurants in town. We do dining fundraisers, so they will partner with us. I'm sure you've heard of them before. Whoever goes there between those hours, they'll donate a portion of the sales back to the PTO. So there's 4 of them, 2 on Tuesday, Coco's and McDonald's, 1 on Wednesday, the 99, and then 1 on Thursday next week, Papagino's. So there's a lot of them. No way are we expecting families to support all of them. But, we just, families do what they can to support it. And, one thing, so I did some math on it, just try to crunch some numbers. If every school child in town, if their family supported just one of these events, it would actually raise for the PTO $1 million. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Tor, that's not
That's
right.
beautiful.
That's not right. That's not right. That's, I don't know. We'll have to check with the teachers.
That's what I'm
on
going
that.
to tell my wife. so
I
many
will have
times.
them check my math. But no, support it if you can. Just some good events.
Did you say he's the treasurer?
Of football.
$2 million.
We do. We got a very healthy budget. Come to the games. And that's why we're having the pep rally. Back to school bingo bonanza next Friday. That's some alliteration right there. That's Friday. Just kids playing bingo. Nothing more fun than that. Come if you can. And then a week from Monday, September 14th, if parents were to look at this and say there's a lot of stuff going on, we're very busy, I don't know what we can support. If there's one thing you can support, my wish would be that we get some parents to the PTO meeting on the 14th. I just believe strongly we need parents, caregivers, teachers, whatever the case may be. We just want them to come out to the meetings and, give their opinion if they have one, share their thoughts or ideas, or just listen in to where they can help. In order for the PTO to provide some of the things that they do throughout the year, we try to just provide different activities for the students in preschool through 5, whether it's field trips or educational programs, entertainment. Fundraising is going to be a big part of it, but the PTO can be much more than that. There can be it just can be families getting together and doing events together. So, we look at those meetings as being more than just a monthly meeting. They can be true community events. Dr. Brunel is a huge supporter. The principals are supporters. They'll be at the meet. Dr. Brunel will be at the first meeting. The principals come every month and give updates. And we just really appreciate the support from the town. That's really the presentation. If there's any questions or comments, I'm
Excellent.
Happy to
Well,
entertain
we'll
them.
start down this end. Any comments or questions? I know you have a little experience
Yeah.
with the PTO.
No, and I know it's not an easy job, so you have your work cut out for you, but I think you guys are going to do a great job.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for,
And I know Dr. Brunel, alluded to some of the transition meetings that went on last year. Thankfully, I was not a part of any of those. Didn't even know what was going on, really, until after the fact. And then once I heard, I just kind of decided, maybe it'd be good to step in and help out this first couple of years. But it'll be good. It'll be fine. Anytime there's change, I think there's a little bit of, nervousness, but we're through it, and it'll be fine.
Any other comments?
I'm excited to see something new every day.
Thank you. And then outside of the first week, just 2 other things. So long-term events, some of the old favorites that we've done for the 4th year now will be the PTO Holiday Auction on November 13th at J. Anthony's. That's been a great event for the PTO for the past 3 years. This will be the 4th year, a big fundraiser. And then a new one this year coming up in April 11th, Monday night at Auburn High School. We're going to do a Harlem Wizards versus Auburn Personalities game, basketball game. So in order for that to be successful, we really need to pack the high school gym. So that'll be, a big event and huge initiative that we, really promote heavily at the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So we look forward to that, long term. Wayne?
I'd just like to say thank you to the PTO, just in general, for all they do for our students and what they do for, the school district itself. You do a great job, You're very helpful with our students, and it's people like you that volunteer and do this kind of stuff that makes our schools so good. You work very well together, and you help out, like I said, I can't give you more kudos about helping out our children in the school system, and I want to thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
And it looks like I'll be able to go out to eat 3 times in 1 week and claim that it's because I'm supporting
You're supporting the
PTO.
kids. You're supporting the kids of Auburn, George.
For
What
that, I
better?
thank you. And I also thank you for your efforts. And just out of curiosity, so at what moment did you say, all right, I'm gonna take this position over? Because I know you must have heard some really good things about it.
Good
and
stories.
how
Those
fun it
meetings
is.
sounded very exciting that they
Yeah.
were having, and I just couldn't wait to be a part of them. But in all honesty, when I went to my first PTO meeting after, much of the transition talks had happened, all the principals were there and they were giving updates, and that's something I had no idea went on at those PTO meetings. And I feel bad. I mean, my wife goes, my wife's involved. I'm sure she told me, but I never listened as far as what happened at the meetings.
You know this is
Is this
being
recorded? She's
yeah.
gonna be watching. I'm sure she mentioned it, but honestly, but then I went to one and just hearing the principals, hearing from students, or just hearing different updates on things. It's great. I strongly encourage people to come. That's why, I meant it when I said it. If you can just do one thing, come to our monthly meetings. You're not going to be turned off. It's going to be great, just open discussion. Fundraising is a part of it. It has to be for an organization like this, but that's not the only part of it, just a small part. Just community event, getting people together. We'll talk about other things in town, the sports leagues, the scout leagues, the dance leagues, whatever. Just get the word on and everything. I see that as being a main role of PTO.
Well, all of the events that I've been to have been fantastic, and I'm sure that you'll continue that tradition, and it's great for the kids. And as you said, they're great events for the parents to get together.
Yeah.
And I've actually met a lot of people outside. Actually, we knew each other from coaching, which
Sure.
is another great way of meeting some of the other people in town. But also PTO events, the
Absolutely.
school dances, the picnics. It's fantastic, and the money that you raise provides our students with nothing but the best. And said it once and I'll say it again. I love the events. I love the way the community comes together, and it's guys like you, and please bring that back to the PTO.
We will.
And thank them for
We
their
will.
efforts, and I thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. You want to go back to special recognitions?
If we could, that would be great.
Okay, back to special recognition. Should we wait a few minutes, maybe?
Yeah,
Because
perhaps it might be a couple
Since
more
I'm
coming.
thinking people might think it's a 7 o'clock start.
Yeah, there might,
Okay.
you were,
Well,
that's okay.
that's all right. We did one group, but we'll do a little at a time.
I just don't have you on my list.
Maybe
Okay.
we'll handle a couple of these other items and then.
Okay. I
around
think
7.
this may be it, but we can come back to that.
Okay.
Just a couple of additional updates. This summer, I just wanted to thank you for your support of me attending the school committee, the superintendent's conference, the Executive Institute this summer. Went down, it's great to get together with colleagues and talk about issues and things going forward, but the focus this year, as it notes here, is serving all children, leading healthy schools. And there was an awful lot of focus around the social emotional growth of students and really supporting them, not only academically, but socially, emotionally, behaviorally. So there was a lot of discussion around that, a lot of great sessions, so I just wanted to thank you. Also, the new teacher orientation that I mentioned earlier did take place on the 25th. Included in your packet is we do like a bus tour. We actually take all of our new teachers on a yellow school bus and drive them around to the different schools. We were able to end this year at the new Auburn Middle School, so they were able to go in there and take a tour of that new facility. But it's nice to be able to show them where other schools are. I know when I first started teaching at Burgess and Sturbridge, it was part of a union, and I had absolutely no idea for years where Wales, Holland, Brookfield, or Brimfield would have even been, never mind gone to visit them. So it's nice to do that, and great event, and as I said earlier, great group of people that we've brought on board. Included in your packet, unfortunately what I'm seeing here now is actually just the first sheet. This includes the August 31st and September 1st, only a portion of the days. I will email the rest of those to you tomorrow. We did do our ALICE training yesterday. We had a the instructional piece in the morning through our safety advisory team, and then the practical application in the afternoon. And throughout today and tomorrow, there are school-based meetings taking place, and actually a really nice event that we hope becomes an annual one. Tomorrow, jointly, the leadership team and the Auburn Education Association is sponsoring a luncheon, and that's going to be at the cafeteria. Our own food service department is putting that on for us. It promises to be a delicious spread of variety of salads and just some great things. So we'll be taking some photos. It'll be a nice way before our open houses tomorrow to really pull everybody together. So it will be great. Glad we waited because the last two are here. I think, let me just do this next one.
Sure.
Yeah. And then also the district accommodation plan, the DCAP, the district curriculum accommodation plan. This is a required document. It is posted on our website, and it lists the very general strategies as well as some specific strategies. They get far more specific based on the grade level and by school, based on subject as well. But the intention of this is really to show our commitment to trying to do our best to support students in the classroom, in the regular classroom whenever possible, whether it's through co-teaching or instructional assistant or paraprofessional support. But this is a document that's updated each year. Dr. Lozay did it this year, and it is my recommendation that you approve the DCAP as presented.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion that we approve the DCAP as presented by Dr. Lozay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Yeah, they really have, this is it.
I don't believe it. I really don't. But if you want to do that before the
Okay.
busing
Yep.
update, that would probably be a good idea.
Okay, good.
Let them. All right, we're going to move back to special recognitions. I think we have the second string of teachers coming in for the 7 o'clock greeting.
They're
So
truly
we-
the first string, they're just here later. So
I didn't mean that like
apologize.
you were a sub, that's no, but that we did have a group at 6:30,
Yeah.
not your fault, obviously, you
Yeah.
got some wrong information, but we welcome you for the 7 o'clock show.
Well, we didn't have enough chairs for all of them at 6:30, so.
That's true.
That's right.
Nice work. All right, I'll let you take over again,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Bell.
I think that I recognize everyone in here, and if I don't get what your new job is, excuse me, I am going to do my absolute best, but it's only been our second day, I guess, together. So, starting here, we have Charity Kim Wong, who is special education at Bryn Mawr School. Next, we have Julie Benoit, who, believe it or not, just had a baby last week? 8 days ago. Was here this evening, a beautiful Jillian Anne Marie. Yes, Jillian Anne Marie. So, above and beyond
Congratulations.
for being here this much. We have Adam Rundell, who is teaching mathematics at the high school. Steve Juno, who is 8th grade at Auburn Middle School. Brianna Garside, who is reading at Auburn Middle School, grade 6. We have Lance Morin, who is science at Auburn High School. We have Nicole Mendocino, who is kindergarten at Bryn Mawr School. Okay. We have Kristen Sandberg, who is kindergarten at Bryn Mawr School. And we have Emily Para, who is biology at Auburn High School. Right? Yeah. Great.
Excellent.
So maybe if you want to all stand up to be recognized, does that work for you, Mr. Smith?
That will
Okay.
work. Come on in here, Emily, come on.
She's hiding over in the back.
I know you're not shy.
Excellent. Any comments for new faculty members?
Just welcome and thank you very much. Looking forward to a great year.
Yeah,
Thank you very
As I said to the last ones, good luck, and you got a great group of kids you're going to be dealing with, and the teams that we have in management or administration are very good people to work with, and they all work together very well, and hopefully it works out for all of you.
Very excited to have him on board.
Welcome aboard. I'm sure you'll all do a great job and carry on with the Auburn tradition and of excellence. And we appreciate you coming out tonight and meeting us. And I wish you the best. And you're free to, Dr. Brunel, do you have any other
No.
words of wisdom?
No, other than welcome aboard. We're excited.
Well, thank you very much for
Thanks.
taking the time out of your busy day.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you see anyone else coming in, tell them it's too late. Have a good night.
You as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, the busing update.
Thank you. The busing update, earlier today, I checked actually in to see, and I believe there were 1,510 bus passes that we have distributed so far. Over 100 of them have been distributed in August alone. Some of the challenges in doing that, now I would say approximately 75 could be new students, but those could have registered in June, July, or August. But when we realize that as they continue to come, and I would say this past week, it has come threefold as much as earlier. The decision I made, the decision of which I hope that you will vote in support of, to add a bus 11. And Mrs. Worsbicky and I have been working closely on this, as has Mrs. Sharon O'Connell, as well as Liz Lynch. And then in terms of looking at the budget, due to the increased number of students who are going to be participating and paying the $100 and some paying the $50 late fee, those who had not purchased it in time if they were students last year, that will support this, as well as some savings that we've realized from new teachers. I mean, as you all recognize, this is a budget that was tight from the start, but obviously we need to ensure safe transportation for our students to and from home. And some of the buses, quite honestly, had more students on them than there were seats available. And even when we tried to do a complete reshuffling them, particularly at the elementary schools, we could have managed it at the high school and middle school. High school always has the lowest ridership, middle school is next, and then elementary. But even try as we might in working with AA Transportation, there was just no way to make it work and have less than 70 students or 77 students, which they seat, on every bus. So I did make the decision to go forward and do that, and would ask for your vote of support.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just thank you for revisiting. I know a lot of people have questions, so thank you for looking at this with a sensitive eye.
It's something we need for the students, and it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And I will say, I just want to make sure to give the recognition to Mrs. Worsbicky, Ms. Lynch, and Ms. O'Connell as well as AA Transportation. I emailed out probably just an hour or so ago the updated routes, and we believe these are accurate at this point. Mrs. Worsbicky will continue to take, along with Ms. O'Connell, any changes, they get run through our safety officer. If there are any safety concerns, those get addressed. So there's a thorough process. But I think that for the most part, we were able to address most of the concerns that were brought forward. So I think we're in very good shape.
So if a parent has a problem, they should call here
They should
rather
call
than the
the
individual
office.
school?
Yes, they should call the office here, and they can leave it with Ms. O'Connell, actually takes all of the information, or actually anybody at central office can take the notes, they know what
Sure.
to ask for, and then we get back to them.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
And traditionally, it's going to take a couple of weeks before we work the bugs out of this. It always does, and we may get a few more phone calls and a few more complaints, but in putting this additional bus on and the presentation that Dr. Brunel just made, I'd just like the public to be aware that we do make every effort to make their trip to school and back as safe as possible. And so we do want to hear that feedback, positive and negative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, and this actually I had saved a little bit early, this was Moody's, but the town also did just receive another great rating from Standard & Poor, and wanted to be sure to share this with you because it does impact the borrowing that the town does. I give tremendous kudos to Town Manager Jacobson, CFO Kazanovich, Selectmen Finance Committee, and I think all of the departments, including the schools as well as the school committee. I think that it has really been a team effort to try and keep costs down whenever possible, and this will realize the town savings over a long-term period. I think it was just in today's paper, or perhaps in the Auburn Mass Daily, there was another article, I think $21,000 for every $1 million, a total like $252,000 to be saved over the life of some of the bonds, which is obviously considerable funds. So I just wanted to give kudos where it was due.
Any comments?
That was a great article, actually. You put it in layman's terms.
Yeah.
I could understand.
Long time coming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart.
Excellent. Thank you. And we now move on to unfinished business.
In terms of the joint meeting, I worked with Town Manager Jacobson and CFO Kazanovich, as well as Mrs. Worsbicky and I, and the dates that you had given. We have settled on Wednesday, September 16th, 2 weeks from tonight, at 7 o'clock, in the Auburn High Presentation Room for the joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, and School Committee. We do have a draft agenda that I have placed, or Mrs. Zotner, I should say, placed at your seats. We'll be looking at the financial policies in terms of looking at a 5-year projection. We'll be looking at the FY17 budget preparation, looking at, some priorities and things, and then also having discussion regarding the return of Mary D. and Julia Bancroft. So that's the agenda that has been set.
Excellent. That'll be a great way to spend my anniversary. Okay.
The next item, you will see that this is actually on there for several meetings. It's the FY17 budgeting priorities. We have just begun FY16, but as you know, our budgeting process, we as a leadership team will do our presentations to you in early November. We'll actually put on the agenda for the next meeting the budget timeline and share it with you. As we know, by the second Monday in January, you need to vote a budget, or at least a draft budget, to send forward to the town manager. So if budgeting priorities, if you think of them, you can share them tonight or even the next few meetings, it'll be on there. So as you think of different things.
Any comments? I would just say that I'm excited that I think we're going to get off to a good start this year with the other boards,
Right.
and kind of get out ahead of things
I
so
agree.
that there are no questions at the end. So,
Yeah.
again, to reiterate with what Dr. Brunel just said, if there are any things that you can think of in the next couple weeks, brainstorm, see what we can come up with. I know I've got a couple of things that I would like to support, and again, I think it's going to work for the best, instead of kind of backing into this budget thing like we did last time around, and to no fault of our own or anyone else's. It's just kind of the way things have been done over the years. I think this year is going to be a little bit different. Look forward to it.
I would just wonder if there were people or positions we couldn't fill or hire because of the budget cuts, if we should be looking at those before we meet with them to possibly bring that to their attention. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't remember what we finally were able to get and what we didn't.
Sure. If you'd like, I could certainly add that to the next agenda, because there were some cuts that were made that were not able to be filled.
Okay, I think that would be a good place to start with some of this.
Yeah, through the chair, wasn't it guidance? I think guidance was
Guidance was a
cut.
big one.
That's those were the
Yep.
items that I was
Yeah.
talking about,
Yep.
Gail. But thanks for bringing that up. Okay.
The next item, School Building Committee. As you know, we had our ribbon cutting ceremony just this past weekend. There was a tremendous crowd there. It was really overwhelming, and just such a great positive vibe in the building. I heard nothing but absolute kudos from everyone there about the ceremony, but also about the building. It really is just beautiful and stuff. And my husband was able to come, and my cousin, as I walked them through the areas. I mean, they just were, just the thought that went into, tiling the walls, so for long-term maintenance, that there wasn't painting, It really was well done, and huge kudos to the School Building Committee. And I can't say enough, obviously, Joe Fahey's always out in front of these things, but also to Skanska, Lamro Pagano, and Fontaine. Just a great team. Great team in place.
Any comments?
It's a beautiful building.
Lovely.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say
Very
is
nice.
just tremendous job, and as Mary Ellen said, the big thing I noticed too was all the tiling that's in the new school, and the flooring, the way the colors are in there, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I was part of the School Buildings Committee, but I would like to thank all the members for their hard work and all the construction people that we dealt with. They did an outstanding job getting that school together, and I
Yeah.
was very, very impressed. Very.
It's just an amazing building.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
enough to make me want to come out of retirement and go back. To be able
All
to,
right, we'll let you, Gail.
okay. Well, I can't pass as a student. Well, I'm short enough, so maybe I could.
Well,
but-
So, I would
But it
just
was
quickly
just
say
amazing.
that,
Was.
the School Buildings Committee has done a fantastic job. And again, it's one of those things where people are donating their time. They're not getting anything for it. They're putting the hours in and for the good of the community. I'm not going to go over my whole speech again from that day, but that's what it's all about. And that's, again, proud to be in Auburn because people step up, they do the right thing. And secondly, on time and on budget can mean different things. Now, don't record this part, John, but out at Bay Path, on time and on budget looks different than on time and on budget at Auburn. That our middle school is fantastic. Again, I was as blown away by it as any other visitor. It was fantastic. I couldn't get enough of the tour. Everything was just perfect. That's on time, that's on budget. We owe that to the school building committee, and we owe it to everyone who had a part in paying for that building and making it happen. And I'm just not able to see that in my building that's on time and on budget. So really, we should be appreciative of that. It's just a fantastic building. And as you said, with the project managers, the construction company, the owners, project manager, we've just had great representation, and you don't get that every time around, so we've been fortunate.
And if I could just add, I thought the landscaping was out of this world. And I remember seeing the sketches of how they were going to do it, and to me, what we actually have is far more beautiful and just fits in and makes it look so natural. And I think we offered to pay for extra high bushes in front of the fire tower, and we did. It almost totally, when you're at this level, you don't notice the fire tower.
Yeah.
It's only when you're upstairs in the library or something
Right.
like that. But
Right.
we've
Yeah.
really done, they've done a great job, like, blending in with the
Two of the
environment.
things, in the landscaping in some of the island areas is very heavy on crabgrass and things. But what they have told us is that they won't actually sign off on that until grass actually takes root. So, the crabgrass as a weed will die soon with the
Yes.
colder weather. They'll reseed, and they actually won't sign off. It may not be until next spring that they sign off on that. And one other change on the sign, it's a little hard to see the Auburn Middle
Yes, it
School.
is.
So that's being corrected, that it's going to be, the part that is recessed will be painted in, so the Auburn Middle School, the words will very much pop.
Oh, okay.
and things. So that's being addressed, and should be, the goal is to have it done by Tuesday. I don't know whether we'll make it or not, but by Tuesday. And one other small correction is we're actually under budget, which
Yes,
is great.
I thought we were.
We
All right,
are.
don't
We're
rub it
actually-
in.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's great news.
But no, and kudos to you for putting on that event. It couldn't have went any more smoothly. It was just, it was a great morning. It really
Yeah.
was.
It really was.
It was. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. The master plan team, we actually have not yet had a meeting. We did do a brief tour earlier tonight of Swanson Road, which has really undergone a great, I like to call it a great facelift. There's more to be done, and they're working fast and furiously. And by the open house tomorrow for families, it will be in even better shape than today. And then by opening day, even better still. So the roofing dumpsters, their equipment will be moved off-site. They have just some flashing to finish, and that will be done before school hours, so it won't impact kids at all.
I have to say, it doesn't look like the same building at all. It really
Yeah.
is a big improvement. I love what they've done with the office area and the nurses area and all of it. It really is.
Yeah.
It's really something to see.
That's
I'd
good.
like to say also, Joe Mullen
Yeah.
is very happy about what we did today, so.
And I have to say again, Mr. Fahey, I can't say it enough, and he hates every time that I say it, but I won't stop until he stops doing all great things. He has led a great effort. But I
Yes.
also need to recognize Mr. Rick Ringard. He has, through Master Plan, he has been in there some days actually installing the hooks. I should have mentioned that when we went through.
Oh, wow.
And he created these that go on the end of the hook areas up against the black columns to put in there to cover gaps. So it's really been a joint effort. Antonelli did a great job. And our custodial team has worked unbelievable hours, absolutely unbelievable hours, weekends, nights, after they finish their shift in their one job, they come and work a whole other shift. So
Wow.
everybody has really stepped up. So it looks great.
Sounds like they deserve some extra time off near Christmas or something like that.
Easy.
The next item is the foundation budget review. Not exactly light reading, but I did want to share it with you. There's been a group that's been working ongoing to look at the the foundation budget, and that's how our Chapter 70 monies are derived. And I was part of a group that had done some preliminary work around this. It's now turned over to another group of people, and really trying to get a handle on how can we make it an even more equitable program in terms of supporting. What it doesn't recognize currently is the large and significant costs for health insurance that come out of budgets, for special education costs. What they allow currently in the foundation report for special education doesn't come anywhere near to what it actually costs to really support and educate a special education student. So those are a couple of the areas that they're paying particularly close attention to. We obviously want to go towards full-day preschool, universal preschool. As you know, we have a pilot going this year that will start on Tuesday for 4-year-olds that's being self-funded and things. But it's good to know that the work continues, and I will keep you updated as it goes forward.
Now, was this related to the workshop that Mr. Barber went to last year? Was it?
It was, when they had those public hearings and things. So they actually went across the state, and he did report on that, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And was that the end of those? Now it's a matter of putting it together?
Yep, so they have some public hearing summaries. This was the preliminary report. I anticipate probably a final report will come out that will be voted and then sent forward to hopefully, be addressed legislatively in terms of funding.
And in your conversations with DOE or fellow superintendents, do you think there'll be any movement?
I think this is one of those, it's such a beast of an issue to tackle, but there seems to be great agreement at the stage that I served on. If we could get a handle around the special education cost, that would be a huge improvement. That is an area that that impacts absolutely every community. The health insurance costs also that communities bear, that's an escalating cost that I don't see any end in sight to, but also to have some recognition of it in the foundation budget formula. So I think if we really prioritize areas, there's the potential to see some movement.
Okay.
It's a widespread issue that people all agree needs to be addressed.
Any comments? Okay, moving on.
The accelerated repair project, just wanted to share with you the Bryn Mawr roof. Actually, if they've not yet moved out, they will be very soon, certainly before school. And the Swanson Road roof will be done, but for the flashing that will be finished prior to school starting. 6 in the morning, they'll start working. The boiler project at Swanson continues to go well, and that will be done in advance of the heating season. So 3 massive projects to take on top of everything else, but they will be good to have done.
I think we owe a lot to the MSBA this year.
Almost, yeah,
Yeah.
54%, over 54% reimbursement for 2 buildings, 44.5 million, and about that there was almost $2+ million in those 3 projects. So they're picking up more than half of the cost of both. So
Fantastic.
very impressive. Excuse me. And the last item is to vote a MASC delegate. The conference will be the Joint School Committee Superintendent Conference is in November, and generally you vote a representative who would vote on your behalf at their delegation meeting. Excuse
I
me.
would entertain a motion. I know that Mr. Page had shown some interest at an earlier meeting, and the only person that was missing was you, Gail, and I wasn't sure if that was something that you were interested in? Or?
No, I feel Wayne has been doing it and knows the routine and everything. I'm too new at this.
Okay.
So I would nominate Wayne to be our representative voting delegate.
Okay, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Wayne, you have a question?
Yeah. I just want to make a comment from the last meeting that the reason why I was requesting the vote at the time is so that the conference people would get all the information prior to going there, so they could send out the information to the delegate that was going to be the delegate. So it was not, as the chairman had said, it was not because I didn't want to do the paperwork. it's because they have to do the paperwork. I don't have to do the paperwork. And if you go down there and they don't have all this information prior to, you're standing in a line with 50 to 100 people trying to get this taken care of, and all you're doing is holding up the process. And I just want to make that correction. It was said at the last meeting.
I don't recall that, but I'll accept that, and the vote's been taken, so we appreciate you
Right.
stepping up, but, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that people know that I am not the one that has to do the paperwork.
Correct.
And you had suggested that, well, we'll get the vote out in time so Mr. Page doesn't have to do the paperwork. I don't have to do the paperwork.
Oh, okay.
This is just for the conference people to get the information so they can send out the information and have the district all signed in prior to, instead of waiting in line and with a whole bunch of people.
Sounds like
once-
you'll be out ahead of it and do a great
So
job
once
this
they
year.
have your name, they send the information to you on
Yeah, they'll
on our
send me a
behalf?
booklet on it, right.
Oh, okay. Well, good, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for stepping up. We now move on to new business.
The next item is Fall Special Town Meeting. The date has been set for October 27th. And at their August 10th meeting, they opened the warrant officially opened it for the 24th, and it closes September 8th. So Mrs. Worsbicky and I have looked at articles, and we have two that we recommend for your approval to send forward. The first one is to seek reimbursement for homeless transportation. We're seeking monies that have gone into the general fund for the town of Auburn that total $12,327. What's important for everybody to realize is that only reflects 34% of what we actually paid. So that is really, as I noted in here, another one of those unfunded or a partially funded mandate. We have the mandate to support homeless children, whether they become homeless as our students and go elsewhere or live elsewhere, and come here for a homeless shelter, which rarely happens, and we have to transport them back to their home district. So this money, the town meeting has been very supportive in the past of receiving this, and hopefully, I think, if we do, as we get forward in the budgeting process, we may want to mention that at the joint meeting of the three boards, but also to send a memo, I know we've done this in the past, off to our legislators to let them know that, I mean, this is a significant cost that we're not reimbursed for, and we're obligated to pay, and ethically should pay, but it leaves a hole. The other item is, we had asked back and received approval for at the Maytown meeting for FY16 to be reimbursed $124,457.23 in Medicaid reimbursement. Shared with you at the July 8th meeting, we actually came in less than that amount. So we met, along with our Director of Pupil Services, to do our best projection. It's not a finite, it's not an easy calculation to do because it depends on the services that a child needs. It really is a complicated formula. But it is our recommendation that we reduce that request to $110,000. If you'll remember, whatever we request at town meeting and they authorize, the town has to give us. So because we requested this amount, even though the town didn't receive it, they have to pay that to us this year. So this going forward, though, we think this is a more reasonable number. I suspect that in future years, because they are finally recognizing that services provided to students on the autism spectrum should be reimbursed, they had not been previously. But it takes a whole year for that to be caught up and to be implemented. So it is our recommendation. It's unusual. We've not ever done this, but in fairness to the town, we always want to be transparent, and this is what we believe we can expect to receive. So it is our recommendation that you approve both of those warrant articles.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant articles as presented for the fall town meeting.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Oh, I just have a comment. Is that date on this typo, fiscal 2106, must be?
It is, thank you,
Yeah.
yes. I will change that, thank you.
Okay. That's all. It's the
Thanks.
teacher in me, what can I
Yeah,
say?
no,
That's good. I'm glad you
Thanks.
tried.
Nice
I'm gonna
job,
go
Gail.
to every town meeting member, so I want to make sure it's perfect.
Would
Thank
you like her to stay after, or? are you all set?
No, I think she's already put in enough of that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
Great. The next item, the field usage and setting of fees for outside groups. With the new synthetic turf field, as you know, by your policy of the school committee, fields on our school grounds are used by students first, our student groups first, community organizations, and then outside groups. It really is not that often, quite honestly, that we rent to outside groups. Our fields at the high school are used, but for this past spring when you approved some college baseball games being played there, which was pre-our season, so it actually generated some revenue, which, if you remember, helped us to get the fields plowed off because we had snow in April. Most communities still had snow, so that's a great benefit of the synthetic turf. But it is our recommendation, since it's the same quality field that you have here as at the high school, to set the rate the same as what it is there. The rate that we have is $250 per hour for the rental of the synthetic turf field. May seem high, but in order to put that in, Mr. Page, you may remember this too, I think that field was somewhere in the vicinity of $600,000 to put in. With a life expectancy of, 10 to 12 or 15 years or so, obviously to replace it will come at considerable cost. So we would prefer, and the school committee I think prefers too, let's let our students use it and then let's the students of our community groups use it. And if there's extra time available, to rent it for that. So that is our recommendation, to do it for that. The practice field won't be ready. It has to have 3 seasons to grow. So the very earliest that could be is likely the fall of 16. I don't know that would have much request beyond our community groups and ours, but at least for the synthetic turf is to set it at that rate.
And I just have a question. Now, is that money go into a fund to put it towards when the field might need some work, or?
We do, and
Yeah,
that's what we have
that's
said. So school committee would actually have to establish, and we'll do that at an upcoming meeting, a revolving account. We have some at the high school for AHS field usage. This would have to be specific for Auburn Middle School field usage. We don't have lights here, but we have an AHS utilities for the fields, because sometimes when people rent and use the lights, we put money in there, and that helps to offset our operating costs. Yep.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended rate of $250 an hour for the rental of synthetic turf for non-Auburn Middle School.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I think it's fair, it makes sense.
I would say we've already got that template in place. I think that's
Yeah,
perfect.
We do, yep.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And the next item is the upcoming events. Some of them have already occurred. They had the kindergarten orientation programs. There was an opening event for the brand-new teachers, who you met tonight from Swanson Road. We had our ribbon cutting. Tonight is actually the freshman orientation ongoing at the high school. And then tomorrow afternoon are the open houses at all of our schools, with the one at Swanson Road being extended until 5, just to allow families, we know that some families have children in more than one school, and we think a larger group of people will probably be interested in going there too. And school starts K to 12 on Tuesday. Preschool opens on Wednesday.
I would just, under new business and kind of tying into upcoming events, I was approached by a couple of people. I know it's always been an issue, and I know as a teacher it's always an issue. And since you just mentioned extending that time to kind of help out some of the working folk to make it to these meetings, if we could just take another look at maybe doing that for a few other events, extending when we can, or being a little more flexible with the times. And my explanation, being a teacher and being a union representative that's where it becomes very difficult. It was very difficult restructuring contracts to have people at all of these events.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's any way that we could do it here and there and just, kind of flex that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a suggestion, and if it happens, it happens. I know how difficult it is, and I had explained that to the few people who approached me.
Yep. Great, will do.
Thank you. And we now move on to the very exciting business and financial report.
Well, good evening, everyone. The first topic I have on the agenda are the omnibus transfers for the final. As you recall, our meeting in July, I talked about that I was balancing out the budget, taking and getting rid of some of the accounts, well, moving monies to transfer. And so it's a listing of all the transfers that I did to bring everything into balance. We did close the year out at a zero balance. We had some encumbrances that we carried over to finish. We still some invoices that still had to be paid through the summer, but we were able to close out the year at zero. So that's the listing of the transfers that I made.
Excellent.
Okay. I also, in your packet, you had a revolving account update of all the revolving accounts that we currently have in place, and that's as of August 27th. Those are the account numbers and the balances. And I've also included in your packet the fiscal year 2016 budget. Now, currently, in the budget, there were the administrative salaries. We currently don't have the teaching salaries in here or encumbered as of yet because the first payroll for teachers will be this week. So, and we will be adding also into the instructional aides and some of the other bargaining units. But by our next meeting, we should have a full encumbered amount of salaries so that we'll have a better idea of where things stand as far as that goes. The MSBA ProPay update. We're currently, for the middle school project, we've currently requested, I put in we had requested number 30, and I've currently just recently put in number 31. We haven't received the monies as of yet for payment 30, but I will be following up on that. That tends to take a little bit longer than the accelerated repair, but so I have submitted 30 and 31, so we will be, I just did 31 actually, July 31st, so, I mean August 31st, excuse me, I'm sorry. So that isn't listed on here, but had it before the packet was made up. We've also started our accelerated repair requests. I've made the first request for Bryn Mawr and for the middle school project, which is considered, well, we call it 10 Swanson Road because they had originally called it the Auburn Middle School, but we know now we have a new middle school, and so we call it 10 Swanson Road project. We did receive monies from payment 1 for both schools, and I've recently submitted payment 2 for both, and that was just on the 31st as well. So we should be getting money in on that, and they're relatively quickly turnaround. The turnaround time is usually about 2 weeks, so once you get it in, within 2 weeks' time, the money comes through, so they'll be helping us to replenish our accounts and put our balance. And we've set up accounts with the town accountant to have an account for each of the schools for these projects, so that as far as everything's going well with that. And any questions or?
No, it's nice to see that the business piece of it is working out as well. As we said earlier, everything else was fantastic, so glad to hear that that's going smoothly.
Good job.
I just have a general question.
Sure.
Are we still spending any money on either Mary D. or Julia Bancroft?
Well, we have been spending some minimal,
Yeah.
minimal
Like lights or
amounts.
water bills and things like
Right,
that?
right.
Yeah.
Likely, what we're waiting for, we'll have this meeting with the joint meeting.
Yeah.
But in all likelihood, tentatively, probably at the September 23rd meeting, I will recommend to you to take the vote to turn them back. We just want to make sure that everything is up and running. The majority of things have been moved out. They've been used as a bit of a holding station for some of our surplus equipment, which will also be taken out. So, but we anticipate that later this month, and certainly well in advance of the heating season.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
If I may just say, Mrs. Worsbicky doing a great job with this, Mr. Barber beforehand. You notice, especially in the Auburn Middle School project, that every month all of these documents are submitted, and as soon as they're submitted, they're reviewed by MSBA and reimbursed to the town. I know at the ribbon cutting, I think it was Representative Frost who mentioned that sometimes you'd wait years and years and things. It is on a monthly basis, so it takes work out of our office and the business office to do, but MSBA is great. Mr. McCarthy mentioned that from MSBA. They really, it's a great partnership. And as we spend the money and submit the bills approved by SBC, goes through a process, we're reimbursed for the 54.16%, which is
Wonderful.
great.
I'd also like to interject that just being new to the role and working with MSBA, they've been wonderful to work with. Whenever I've had a question, I've called in, they've been responsive, they've been receptive. It's been a great working partnership.
Really a great program.
Oh, it is. I was really happy that Mr. McCarthy was able to come to the ribbon cutting.
A lot better than it used to be.
Okay, we now move on to, did you have accelerated repair, policies? We now move on to policies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's only one policy here before you, and this actually is in response to new regulations set regarding physical restraints. We in the Auburn Public Schools, it is a rare occasion. It's only for our significantly challenged students who would require this. But as you can see here, we put in red any changes that needed to be made on this. Whether it's prone restraint, the notification to parents, which we always made, notification to DESE, the timelines for that have slightly changed. Principals now, Dr. Lozay had put together a packet of materials. They need to maintain a listing of incidents. They need to review it on at least a monthly basis. It is my recommendation. The policy before you is in keeping with the new regulations and will get us up to date. These do not go into effect until, the new regulations don't go into effect until January 1st of 2016, but we've already begun doing these with the 16 hours of training that's required for our staff that we have to pay for, another one of our unfunded mandates. But we have a trained team of people in each of our schools should a child need to be restrained for any reason. So we are ahead of things here.
Good.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the updated physical restraint policy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
We do need it.
And I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'm a little rusty after the summer.
You're the teacher.
Per Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A, 2, to conduct strategies for negotiations with union and non-union personnel, I move that we go into executive session.
Do I have a second? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mrs. Holloway?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
And Mr. Scobie?
Yes.
Great.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thanks, guys.